All right, let's jump right into a really fascinating medical mystery, one that took 7 whole years to unfold. We're going to play detective here, following the clues just like a doctor would to crack a case that all starts with one simple question.
So here it is. This is the central puzzle. A 45-year-old guy has a swelling in his scrotum. Now, you might think, okay, what could that be? But trust me, the devil is in the details here. We're going to walk through the exact steps a doctor would take to figure this whole thing out.
Okay, so let's get into the patient's story. It all starts with a 45-year-old man who finally decides to see a doctor about something he's been dealing with for a really long time. 7 years. That's not a typo. For 7 years, this guy has had a swelling on the right side of his scrotum, and it's been growing, but so slowly. I mean, almost unnoticeably. And right there, that timeline, that is our first and maybe our biggest clue.
All right, first things first. In any kind of investigation, right, you've got to listen to your witness. In medicine, the patient is that witness. And honestly, their story, the history of what's been going on, can tell you way more than some fancy, expensive scan ever could. So you can see how this played out. He first notices it in year 1. It's pretty small. Then, for the next 5 years, it just kind of slowly grows. By year 7, it's gotten pretty big. The key takeaway here? This thing didn't just pop up overnight. And that slow, steady growth is a huge signal to a doctor that we're probably not looking at something super aggressive or urgent.
Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. It's not just about what is happening, it's about what isn't. First off, it's completely painless. That's a massive clue. Then, coughing doesn't make it bigger, lying down doesn't make it smaller, and he feels totally fine otherwise. In medicine, these negative clues are just as important, sometimes even more so than the positive ones. So, we've got the story. Now it's time for the physical exam. This is where the detective work gets hands-on, literally, and you'll see how a doctor can uncover some incredible secrets with a surprisingly simple, low-tech tool. So here's the question. How do you peek inside that swelling without an X-ray or a CT scan? I mean, you're in a regular doctor's office. Well, the answer is actually pretty brilliant, and all it takes is something you probably have on your phone, a bright light. This super simple test is called transillumination. And the whole point of it is to answer one single critical question. Is this swelling full of clear liquid or is it something solid? And here's how it works. It's a simple principle, really. Think about shining a flashlight through a glass of water. The light goes right through, right? But try shining it through a brick. Not so much. It's the same idea here. Light passes through clear fluid and makes it glow red. If it's solid, the light gets blocked. And for our patient, the test was a big glowing success. The whole thing lit up like a lamp. Okay, so now we have a huge piece of evidence. The swelling is filled with fluid. That means we can start crossing suspects off our list. And suspect number 1 in a case like this is almost always an inguinal hernia. That's when a bit of intestine pokes through the muscle wall. This table basically lays out the whole case for us. Let's run down the checklist. Can you get your fingers above it? With our patient, yes. With a hernia? Nope. Does it light up? Our patients did. A hernia? No way, it's solid. Does it change when you cough or lie down? Nope, not for our guy. But a hernia definitely can. So yeah, the hernia theory, it's officially off the table. All right, the moment of truth. We've listened to the story, we've done the physical exam, we've ruled out the main suspect. And what we're left with is a pile of evidence that all points in one single direction. And the diagnosis is a primary hydrocele. Mystery solved. Now, what is that? Honestly, the easiest way to picture it is a water balloon. See, the sac around the testicle is always making and absorbing a little bit of fluid to keep things lubricated. In a hydrocele, the balance is just a tiny bit off. It's making just a fraction more fluid than it can drain away. And over 7 years, that tiny bit adds up. And you see, this is what makes it such a great case. Every single piece of the puzzle fits perfectly. The 7-year history with no pain? Check. The slow, gradual growth? Check. And the big one, the fluid-filled swelling that lights up like a lantern? Double check. It just couldn't be anything else. It's a textbook example. I love this quote from one of the senior doctors who talked about this case. It really just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It's a powerful reminder that even in our world of MRI machines and complex tests, this 7-year-old mystery was basically solved by just listening to the patient and doing a careful, simple exam.
And that brings us to a really important final thought. We think of pain as a bad thing, but it's really your body's fire alarm. It screams at you when something's wrong. But when there's no pain, well, that's when things can go unnoticed for a long, long time, just like in this case. It's a great reminder that just because something doesn't hurt doesn't mean it's not worth getting checked out. Sometimes those are the most important ones.